Today's video is going to start a little differently. Instead of just sitting there and listening to Apex talk, I want you to take a tiny little quiz with me. It'll only take about 30 seconds. Okay, now grab a piece of paper, a pen, or just count in your head. Remember your number. See how many times you answer yes to the following 10 questions. Ready? Let's begin. All right, done. How many did you get? For me, I got numbers 1, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Comment your number below and let me know. Be honest, okay? If you got 4 or more, then welcome to the world of the hyper-aware people. And the big question popping up in our heads right now is it actually okay to notice everything so clearly? If your brain is always translating every little thing into a bunch of hidden meanings until you're exhausted, should you maybe think less? Notice less, care less? But then, if you pretend not to notice and stop reading the room, what if you offend someone? What if you become awkward, say the wrong thing, and everyone around you judges you? See? See what just happened there? That whole tangled chain of questions, overanalyzing, making guesses, and then beating yourself up, that is the classic illness of the hyper-aware crowd. On the other hand, if you heard all that and thought, oh my gosh, why make life so hard? Just take people at their word. That's exhausting. Then you are on the other side. The world of the chill people. I am a true hyper-aware person. So today I'm going to talk with you about this topic. If I can see through everything, how am I supposed to live? Simply because I've been there. I've crashed, burned out, and drained myself because my psychological radar was always scanning. And now I'm actually living pretty well with that annoying superpower. I'm Apex, and today I'll be speaking for all the souls who never stop thinking, as we talk about this topic through 3 main points. First, where does hyper-awareness come from, and does it even matter? Second, why, in today's modern world, does hyper-awareness so easily torture the emotions and mental health of young people? And third, by the end of this video, I'll suggest 3 directions to control and guide your hyper-awareness. Ready? Let's go. First, we need to make one thing clear. A lot of people think that being able to read others, walking into a room, and instantly catching everyone's vibe is a form of high EQ or emotional intelligence. On the outside, sure, that seems true, but anyone who lives with it every day understands that it's not just a superpower. It's more like a scanner with no off button. It scans when you go to school, go to work, text someone, join a group meeting, hang out, date, and even when you're lying alone in bed at 2 a.m. It scans other people, scans the atmosphere, and then turns around and scans you too. And the big question is, why do we humans even have this strange scanner? The answer lies deep in the survival history of our species. Let's be honest. Biologically speaking, humans are pretty fragile. We don't have claws like tigers, speed like cheetahs, or size like elephants. A tiger can hunt alone, but if a prehistoric human got separated from the tribe, that was basically game over. In the deep forest, we were too slow and too easy to kill if we were alone. So the most important survival skill of our ancestors was not muscle. It was the ability to live together. To survive in a group, you had to be able to read the group's signals. Who was angry? Who was scared? Who might betray the group? Back then, a frown or an unusual silence wasn't just about whether people liked you or not. It was a survival signal. If the whole tribe was tense and you were still joking around like nothing was wrong, people would dislike you. If the community was suspicious and you didn't notice, you could be pushed out. And in the ancient world, being removed from the group was not as simple as being unfriended. It could mean death. So over tens of thousands of years, Our brains learned a painful lesson. If you want to survive, you have to observe. What we now call hyper-awareness is actually what's left of an ancient instinct, scanning the social environment to detect danger. This ability used to be extremely useful. A child needed to read their parents to know when they were safe. A young person needed to read their friends to avoid being isolated. Without it, humans would have had a much harder time loving and working together. So don't look down on your ability to notice tiny details. It is not a system error. It does not mean you're crazy because you think too much. At the deepest level, it is a superpower that helped our ancestors avoid extinction. But the problem begins when this scanner gets pushed into overdrive in today's world. Back then, our ancestors only had to scan a small group of a few dozen people around a fire. But now, we are thrown into a world full of signals, group chats, social media, messages that are seen but not answered, and reactions that feel loaded with hidden meaning. Your ancient 8K scanner is now being forced to process a massive amount of unclear data like never before. And that's when the superpower becomes a trap. Someone texts okay without an emoji, and your brain sounds the alarm. Your partner stays quiet a little too long, and your brain sounds the alarm. Your boss texts, "Come see me for a minute later," and your brain opens a whole folder of worst-case scenarios. Tiny pieces of information get collected, magnified, and turned into a horror story. Something's wrong. I messed up. They're about to leave me. In the history of human development, we are now standing at the exact stage where awareness, the thing that was supposed to protect us, starts turning against us. This is exactly why jobs like psychologists and therapists are more in demand than ever. Keywords like overthinking and stress have become extremely viral. Maybe 20 or 30 years ago, hyper-awareness was just a small personal problem. But right now, with the help of technology, it has become a real storm. So, Gen Z and even millennials, are you mentally ready to keep listening to the story of your generation's crisis? Let's be honest. Back then, this scanner was already tiring, but at least it worked inside a limited tribe. You only had to observe a few dozen familiar people. You knew your parents' personalities. You understood your close friends. The game was hard, but at least you could guess the rules because everything had clear context. But today's world is completely different. Once we are thrown into the world of social media and thousands of digital signals, we no longer live in one tribe. We live in dozens of tribes at the same time. And this chaos turns your superpower into 3 extremely draining psychological traps, silent cages that slowly empty the mental energy of our generation every day. Trap 1. Too many signals, too little context. In digital communication, we lose about 90% of nonverbal cues like tone of voice and eye contact. All you receive are dry little words on a screen. So your hyper-aware radar starts going wild inside those empty spaces. Someone sends a dry, "yeah," and you get chills. Someone leaves you on seen and says nothing, and you feel abandoned. A friend says they're busy, and your brain turns that into, "they're tired of me." When there is not enough context, your brain automatically fills in the blanks with horror stories. While nothing has actually happened in real life, inside your head, you've already produced a full-length drama series where you are the victim of rejection and betrayal. Trap 2. Social media turns awareness into a comparison contest. Back then, if you wanted to know what someone thought of you, you had to meet them, talk to them, and look at their attitude. But now you can sit alone in your room and still feel judged by the whole world. You post a photo and you watch the likes. You write a status and you read every comment. You post a story and you check who viewed it, who didn't, who viewed it first, and who viewed it but didn't react. Everything becomes data to analyze. For a normal person, social media is already stressful enough. But for a hyper-aware person, it's like pouring gasoline on a fire. You don't just look at the content, you look for the meaning behind it. Your brain doesn't see a post, it sees a maze of hidden insults and exclusion. And from there comes trap 3, being forced to manage your image 24/7. In real life, a hyper-aware person already watches themselves a lot. Say one sentence and you wonder if it sounded weird. Stay quiet for a little while and you wonder if people think you're unfriendly. But on social media, that self-monitoring gets magnified many times over. Slowly, a young person no longer truly lives. They start performing the act of living. Going out to eat means wondering whether you should take a picture. Hanging out means wondering what to post so you look happy enough but not like you're showing off. Being sad means being sad in a way that won't make people think you're negative. Being happy means being happy in a way that won't make people think you're annoying. Success has to look humble. Failure has to look strong. And hyper-aware people are even more likely to get trapped on that stage because they always feel like hundreds of invisible eyes are watching them, even though in reality, people may not care that much. And what is the biggest price you pay? Protection replaces presence. At first, you analyze things to protect yourself, to predict pain before it happens. Sounds very reasonable, right? But if you are always living in a state of preparing for a shock that might never come, you are no longer here in this moment. You hang out with friends, but you're busy reading everyone's mood. You sit next to your partner, but you're busy analyzing whether they seem colder today than yesterday. Your life slowly turns into a risk management project. Everything has to be checked and prevented. Lightness disappears. Carefreeness disappears. And your ability to trust disappears with them. Young people today are exhausted not because they are weak. They are exhausted because after every conversation, the brain keeps holding an internal meeting. Inside your head, there is always a trial that never ends, where you are the defendant, the lawyer, and the judge all at once. Hyper-awareness in the modern world torments us not because it is bad, but because an ancient instinct is overloaded in an environment that is too loud and has too little real safety. Your scanner does not get a single second of rest from real life to the online world. And if you do not learn how to control it, one day you may realize you know a lot, you see a lot, but you no longer have enough energy to feel at peace with your own life. So how do you keep your sensitivity without letting this sharpness drain you dry? How do you tame this radar and bring it back to its proper function? That is when we need the 3 survival directions I'm about to share. All right, so what do we do now? Does this mean from now on we have to be less thoughtful, observe less, and understand people less? No, absolutely not. This scanner is not the enemy. It used to be a survival skill for our ancestors, and today, if trained correctly, it can still become a beautiful ability, helping you understand people, sense the atmosphere, connect deeply, and create your own unique value. The problem is not turning it off. The problem is learning how to control it. And I'll suggest 3 very practical directions. Direction 1. Separate facts from interpretation. This is the most basic skill for a hyper-aware person. Because what exhausts you is often not the actual event, but the interpretation your brain attaches to that event. The fact is, your boss texts, "When you're done, come to my office for a minute." The interpretation is, "What if I'm about to get fired?" The way out is this: stay with the observation. The next time your radar sounds the alarm, take a breath and tell yourself, the only fact here is that my boss wants to see me, period. Whether something bad is about to happen, or whether your boss is unhappy with you, those are things you do not know. Do not use your sensitivity to scare yourself. When your body tenses up, don't rush to conclude that disaster is coming. Just say, "Oh, my body is tense right now." That's it. That little "oh" matters a lot. It creates a small space between you and your overthinking. And that tiny space is where peace begins to appear. Direction 2. Turn social media into a tool only for spreading value. Social media is the place that burns a hyper-aware person's energy the fastest, because you keep using it like a mirror to check how you look. The way out is change your position. Don't use social media to receive approval. Use it to give value. Turn it into a speaker for sharing your views, your thoughts, and your own differences. That's it. The core rule is don't try to please everyone. Just share what you believe is useful in your real style and your real way of living. If someone disagrees respectfully, talk with them. If someone doesn't like it, respect the difference and just ignore them. Never distort yourself because of the crowd's judgment. Remember this clearly. Only when you are at peace with being yourself are you truly free. At that point, social media is just a tool that serves you, not a cage that traps your emotions. Direction 3. Choose your tribe carefully and build emotional boundaries. Because you can see through other people's hearts so quickly, you can easily turn yourself into the default emotional trash can for everyone else. Anyone who is sad comes to you. But listen, my friend, understanding does not mean absorbing. Seeing a crack does not mean you have to jump in and save the whole world. You are not the therapist of the entire universe. Find a few small but truly safe tribes. Family, if your family is healthy enough. A few close friends. A group with the same values. A community where you do not have to perform, guess, or read hidden meanings all day long. Places where you can say, I'm tired today. I don't want to analyze anything. People who allow your nervous system to breathe when you are near them. That's what I wanted to share with you today. If you saw yourself in this video, tell me in the comments which trap hits you the hardest. Reading too much into messages, comparing yourself online, managing your image, or carrying other people's emotions. And remember this, you are not broken. The depth you carry is not a defect. It is a gift that needs boundaries, compassion, and training. If this video helped you feel even a little less alone, like the video, and share it with someone whose mind never seems to get quiet. Sometimes the most healing thing is simply realizing, oh, I'm not the only one who feels this way. Thank you for staying with me until the end. I'm Apex. Subscribe for more deep psychological breakdowns, and I'll see you in the next video. Be gentle with yourself.